Hey everyone, how's it going? Aaron Rift here from NoDQ.com. I am being joined by the NoDQ panel, the PA sensation, Greg Cherry, as well as David Payne, NoDQ's author of Pain, and another David today, replacing good old JM, Jeff Meacham. He is also known as Virtue. He is a NoDQ columnist. He is here for the first time on video. How's it going, David Southworth?
It's going great. I just watched NXT Takeover Orlando.
I love that belt, by the way.
Thank you.
Whoever
I
gave
earned
it
it.
to you is awesome. So how does it feel to be here on NoDQ Video for the first time?
I've kind of been waiting for a while now, so this is cool. I'm excited, and this is a great show to review.
And
NXT Takeover.
You took Jeff Meacham's spot.
You
got some
oh boy,
big
I'm going to try.
Fill. You got some damn big shoes to fill.
Anyways, sure.
Oh, well, you said it, not me. But anyways, so to differentiate between you guys, obviously we have David P. We can call him Mr. Payne, and then David S., a.k.a. Virtue. So that's how we'll make the difference between the two of you guys. Or a guy with the DDP shirt. Whatever you prefer.
Bang!
Bang, there you go. So NXT TakeOver Orlando, another great show by WWE. As always, the NXT shows always contain a lot of quality wrestling. Overall, I think it was an awesome show. I mean, not sure I would say it was the best NXT show of all time, but it's always a consistently good show in my opinion. So let's go ahead and talk about the matches and go one by one here, and then we'll give our overall thoughts on the card. And also after this, we'll talk about the Hall of Fame, give our thoughts on the Hall of Fame, and then final thoughts on WrestleMania. So stay tuned for all that. But first, let's get to the NXT show. 15,000 people in the Orlando Arena. Very hot show as usual, hot crowd. The norm for NXT, what we come to expect from NXT. During the pre-show, it was announced that No Way Jose would be out of the 8-person tag team match due to being attacked earlier in the day, I guess at Access. I think it was Access, right? Correct me if I'm wrong. But he was out of the match, and then there was a replacement partner for those guys who ended up being Chris Hero. Chris Hero making his NXT TakeOver debut with his new name, Cassius Ohno. I'm still not a huge fan of that name. I guess it'll grow on me over time, but I prefer Chris Hero. Whatever, though. It is what it is. So this was a fun match. But what I found interesting was that Ty Dillinger once again took the fall. So it makes me wonder if he is going to be one of the next guys to debut on the main roster, maybe tomorrow for the Andre the Giant Battle Royal, or maybe he'll debut on this week's Raw or SmackDown. So I'll start with you, David S., since you're the newcomer. What were your thoughts on this match and Chris Hero's debut and all that?
I definitely liked it as a hot opener. Eric Young is awesome. Did you see him towards the end of the match take the clothesline, flip a couple times outside the ring? Awesome. But here's what I don't like. Ty Dillinger took the fall again, and it just seems like his whole NXT career, he's lost every match. But he's over with the crowd. So him and Ono got popped huge, and that's what I took away from that match. Very encouraging.
All right, so what do you think, David P.?
Mr. Payne.
Mr. Payne.
No, for an 8-man tag, it wasn't bad. And I still can't get used to that name. I mean, he's trained a lot of wrestlers. Why not just people know who he is? You should just go with like a CM Punk. They knew who he was. So, but other than that, and you know what, Dillinger is so over, dude. I think that I hope that he's not just another Bo Dallas when he goes over to the main roster. What do you think, Greg?
Well, I think the difference between him and Bo Dallas is Dillinger is ridiculously over with the crowd. Bo Dallas was kind of not as much of a pop as Dillinger got. I was upset they took the fall too. I'm a big Dillinger fan. For crying out loud, I set my alarm for 10 in the morning and put his theme song as my alarm tone.
Nice.
But anyway, I thought the 8-man tag was good. I thought Eric Young just looks crazier and crazier every time I see him. He just looks psychotic, so he fits the gimmick.
Yeah, he's got the like makeup and the eyeliner and all that stuff.
Yeah, exactly.
Alice
David
Cooper
mentioned that clothesline, which was fantastic. It was a fantastic bump that he took.
And I'm also glad that Ono has the better attire than the last time we saw him.
Yeah, I'm still trying to get used to the Cassius Ohno name. I figured since Kevin Owens had the whole KO thing that they'd make him Chris Hero or something else. But
I keep thinking of Yoko Ono. That's the I don't know. I got to get used to that.
Yeah. So anyways, let's move on here. We had Edge and Beth Phoenix in the crowd, and I guess we'll mention it now while we're at it. Drew McIntyre was in the crowd tonight, which was quite interesting. What do you think about this, Greg?
Seeing Drew McIntyre there, I figured he was working some shows for, I don't know if it was Evolve or Progress or whatever the indie shows are down there, but seeing him in the crowd makes me think, maybe they're teasing him coming back to either NXT or to the main roster, which I enjoyed Drew McIntyre. I even enjoyed his time in 3MB, surprisingly. So to see him even in the crowd and for them to mention him, maybe that's a little tease of what's to come in the future. It was cool to see him there.
Right on. So next up we had Alistair Black, a.k.a. Tommy End, making his NXT TakeOver debut against Andrade Cien Almas. And this was an all right match. Good showing for Black. David Payne, any thoughts on this match in particular?
Yeah, I mean, it's like a solid B-, maybe I'd say, not too bad. Alistair Black, everybody knows him as Tommy End. I mean, he's worked in Glasgow, Scotland. He's worked in crazy-ass CZW. And you've seen him in PWG over there in Southern Cal. So hopefully he does well, because NXT needs to get some more people again, since so many big names have gone over to the main roster. But yeah, not a bad showing. Solid B match for sure.
All right, David S., any thoughts?
Well, when I first saw Black's entrance tonight, for some reason I thought Baron Corbin. But then what happened is he got in the ring, he sat in the middle of the ring, and then the match started. And both of these guys, they have a mix of power and agility, and the agility hits when you don't expect it. So I actually liked this match because the big spots were really good. So I'm like a B+ on this match. I enjoyed it.
Greg, your thoughts?
I enjoyed it.
I don't know. Something just seemed off about this match, and my wife actually mentioned it because she watched the show with me, that Alistair Black, he runs a little weird. I don't know if anybody else picked up on that. Maybe it was just us.
He kind of reminds me a little bit of CM Punk with the kickboxing stuff. You know what I mean? Just a little bit with the kicks, especially that final kick. It kind of reminded me of CM Punk just a little bit.
Reminds me of most indie wrestlers these days.
Yeah, I mean, he delivers great kicks. I'm not going to take away anything from him. And that moonsault was fantastic to the outside. But something just seemed off about the finish. Like the crowd was distracted by something else, and they were completely, I don't want to say dead, but they were not as into the kick as they were.
Yeah, I think there's a group of people in the crowd that were like chanting for their section or some stupid chant, and then other people were telling them to shut up, and I think there was some bickering going back and forth between people in the crowd, and they were distracted.
Damn smarts.
That might have been what was going on.
I think that took something away from his debut. It's like, the guy's making his debut in NXT. It's like, show low respect.
Yeah, there were definitely people complaining on Twitter about the crowd during that match. So, yeah, I think that's what was going on. But anyways, let's move on here to the tag team title match. So we have new titles for all the titles in NXT, the tag team titles, the women's title, and the world title in NXT, or just the NXT title, whatever it's called. And I'm sure David Payne has a joke for that one about why they changed the titles, right?
Please come on. Do I need to say,
I think we all know the obvious joke. I've seen tons of people making it. No, that was not the reason why they changed it. I think they just wanted to give the belts a new look. It's been several years since they changed the design, so
right timing, I guess.
Enough was enough, and it was time for a change. But anyways, let's talk about this match, which I think we can all agree on was phenomenal. The match of the night, just extremely creative, innovative match with these three teams, and the basic story was DIY and the Revival trying to work together to take out the Authors of Pain. And, they all work together to put one of the guys through a table, and lots of cool spots in this match. David S., what were your thoughts?
It was a great match. I mean, you had different styles. Now, probably a WrestleMania a year from now, we're going to see DIY and the Revival for one of the tag team titles at WrestleMania against each other. Now, a lot of people are upset about Authors of Pain winning the title. They need the titles to get over. The other two teams are already over. So I love them keeping the belts. Draw heat. Make people want to see them lose.
I agree. I totally agree with that. I think they came out looking really strong. And I think all of us, when we did the predictions video, we went with Authors of Pain to retain. And I think it was very well executed. Greg, what were your thoughts?
I agree. I thought that tag team match was fantastic, top to bottom. I'm okay with the Authors of Pain winning. I predicted them to win. I was very surprised, though, to see DIY eliminated first. I did not see that coming. I predicted the Revival first and then DIY to have a babyface versus heel matchup. But maybe that was their way to put over the Revival a bit more before they get called up at some point.
Yeah, I saw, I did see some people commenting on Twitter that they felt the match fell off a little bit at the end when DIY were eliminated. What do you think, David P? What were your thoughts?
Well, maybe a little bit. And actually, wasn't there a chant that no one likes you? I think that's what I picked up.
And delete chants.
Yeah, that was at the end of the match, yeah.
Right, at the end of the match. But this was a wrestling clinic. This was brilliant right here. DIY and the Revival are definitely ready, and they're gonna add a lot. Now I don't know if they're gonna split them up, if they're both gonna go to SmackDown, if they're both gonna go to Raw. I don't know the case, but they'll definitely do justice to the tag team division. Like you alluded to, the Authors of Pain, my team, they needed the titles more, draw the heat, perfect. You're doing the job for them more or less. But a wrestling clinic and. I'm definitely high on DIY. I mean, Johnny Wrestling, man, which you're probably familiar with, seeing him over there in Cleveland, All Pro Wrestling. Yep. Am I right, Dave? And then also you've seen him in PWG, Aaron probably, or you know of him from there, his stint there. And I actually saw him when he was working with Ring of Honor. He had a show for Blue Water Championship Wrestling in Port Huron, Michigan. I had the pleasure of seeing him there. So this guy is a wrestling machine. I predict him to be the Intercontinental Champion, perhaps at some point if he goes on his own. So. Yeah, awesome match. Definitely the match of the night. Solid A for sure.
Absolutely. So next up we have the NXT Women's Title match, Asuka versus Ember Moon. Crowd was split down the middle. I think it was pretty much 50-50. I'm not sure. It sounded like there were a lot of dueling chants for both of them. I thought this was a fine match. I mean, it was obviously in a spot where they were pretty much screwed when it came to trying to outdo the previous match and follow it. But I thought it was fine, and the story they told was that Ember Moon was on the verge of winning the title, but then Asuka had to resort to cheating by shoving the referee into the ropes and picking up the win with a cheap victory. So, Greg, what were your thoughts on this match?
I thought this match was good. I think it's starting to establish Asuka as a full-fledged heel.
Definitely.
And possibly a little sympathy for Ember Moon and possibly a rematch somewhere down the line, perhaps for their next TakeOver event, which I don't think they're going to wait 5 months. I think they're going to have one in June like they did last year, probably at Full Sail. But I thought this match was good. I was really hoping to see an Eclipse at some point, just because that move is sweet and it's up there with Baron Corbin's End of Days for one of my favorite finishers. But I thought for what it was fine. It was good technical wrestling, and I thought it was decent. How about you, David S.?
I like Asuka. She's my favorite. And then they had to have her throw the referee. Like, she could have cheated any other way, but to throw the referee, I was a little upset with that. But, like you said, she might be going heel. I'm excited about that. Heck, she's been the champion for a year. And guess what happens? They get cocky, conceited. Nobody can beat me. Perfect timing.
Kind of like CM Punk. CM Punk was the good guy champion for a while, and then he went heel about halfway into his record title reign. So, yeah, definitely similar. Yeah. So, Mr. Payne.
He made fun of Jerry Lawler's heart attack, too, in the process.
Yes,
that really got over well. Tasteful. Yeah, you know what? Actually, Ember Moon, I didn't have much stock in her maybe at first glance. And watching this match, she showed me something. It wasn't completely perfect, but she's got strength, she's got agility, she's got moves I've never seen before. So, this is definitely elevating her wrestling with Asuka. Kind of cheesy, I suppose, with the referee, but you got to do something to get her heat, and I suppose that was their way of doing it, and that was her first sort of cheap heat, if you will. So, yeah, definitely a solid match for sure, and the crowd seemed to be pretty into it. I mean, there was dueling chants, right? So
yeah.
And Asuka's got the best ring attire that I've I've seen in WWE or NXT.
The thong
period.
over the tutu or whatever that is. I don't
Sell those action figures.
Absolutely. Yeah, she's got a great entrance. But speaking of great entrances, we have the main event, two of the best entrances in the entire WWE universe, not just NXT. We had Bobby Roode defending against Shinsuke Nakamura. You had the piano players for Bobby Roode. I love that robe he was wearing. Awesome robe. I mean, it looked great. People on Twitter had mixed feelings about this match. Some felt it was too slow, but I liked it because I felt like they were slowly building it. It had a lot of psychology. You had Roode working over Nakamura's knee, and that was from the previous match too, where he was working on the knee. So I liked that, and I thought it turned into a really good match. I mean, I still think the tag match was the match of the night, but this was a strong main event, I thought, and it's looking like Nakamura's done. It's looking like he will be debuting with WWE on the main roster any day now, whether it's WrestleMania as a surprise or Raw or SmackDown. It looks like, Nakamura's done. So, Mr. Payne, we'll start with you. What were your thoughts on this match?
Yeah, well, you stole my words right there. Psychology, man. That's the first thing that I thought about. I said, this is a very classic match right here. I mean, almost in the realm of a Steamboat Savage, kind of. I mean, there was a lot of spots. They slowed the pace down with some holds. It felt like an old school match. I actually quite enjoyed it, and it was definitely a very, very close second for match of the night. And I mean, it was physical, and Nakamura can sell the hell out of Pain, man. I'm telling you, nobody sells Pain like that guy. It was great, and I think Bobby Roode's definitely carrying NXT as well as he should. I mean, he's got a great image, man, and that robe, he's spending buku money like Ric Flair on those robes, but. Yeah, overall, solid match, though. I mean, what do you think, Virtue?
I actually liked it better than the tag match, just barely. When I saw the Impaler DDT to Nakamura almost breaking his neck, I was exhausted by the entrances. I think that might have been a lot of people's problem. When the match started, they were exhausted watching those great entrances. But it was a great match. The psychology, it was slow. Like you said, Nakamura main roster bound, and Roode, he's glorious. So TNA fans and New Japan fans absolutely love this match tonight. Guaranteed.
No doubt.
Greg, your thoughts?
NXT. It's because NXT has all their guys now. In WWE too, because AJ and the club. I thought the San Antonio match was a little bit better than this. The problem I had with this match was not the actual match itself. I think the fact that it was a little too predictable what was going to happen because we kind of knew. I mean, there was a little bit of doubt I had that Nakamura, maybe he was going to become a 3-time NXT champion, but I don't know. This was a good match. Go ahead, David.
Who thought that was Rebby Hardy on the piano for a split second there?
A lot of people did. I did.
Yeah.
We have our friend Bobby up here, and he actually said the same thing. I was like, well, I don't think the Hardys are there. They're busy fighting the Young Bucks in Ring of Honor right now.
They were busy losing the ROH tag team titles, but we'll talk about that in a few minutes here. Overall, really solid show from NXT. Let's shift gears here and talk about the Hall of Fame, which I personally thought was one of the best Hall of Fame segments WWE has ever produced. I thought that it was very entertaining from start to finish. All the speeches were entertaining. Even Teddy Long's, which was, more about comedy than anything else, it served its purpose. And we definitely needed some comedy after so many tear-jerking moments on the ceremony. DDP's speech was awesome. I loved it. DDP did a great job. Bischoff did a great job with his promo, or should I say speech, not a promo. Well, kind of a promo. It's all about promos too, even when DDP's
in promo mode.
Even when DDP's got his DDP yoga bottle. What was that?
Cornette's was the promo.
Oh yeah, definitely.
Yeah, Cornette, very true. Very true.
Cornette was entertaining. He kept it fairly PG. I think he mentioned Rock and Roll Express. I screwed up too. I said Rock and Roll Express. Somebody on the Hall of Fame red carpet said that. I think it was Ambrose. He said the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame.
We were there.
Yeah, we were there back in September. But yeah, that was entertaining. Jim Cornette. I think he rambled a little bit towards the end, but it was still good. And Rock and Roll Express had a good speech, very emotional. And then Beth Phoenix. I mean, that in my opinion was one of the best Hall of Fame speeches ever in WWE. I thought it was
really was
fantastic, very well prepared, and great moment
Yeah.
with Tony Chimmel. So we'll start with you,
Love
David
Tony
S.
Chimmel.
Anything that sticks out to you in particular about this year's Hall of Fame ceremony?
Yeah, we'll start with Beth Phoenix. Actually, I think it was Natty. She mentioned Owen Hart, the Owen Hart name
Yes.
drop, and then they showed the image of the sharpshooter on Brett at WrestleMania 10, and then the crowd. And then I lost it there. My eye watered. You know,
too.
Owen deserves
Me
it more
too.
than anybody right now. But yeah, that moment, and then of course Kurt Angle was that was great. He just delivered like he never lost a beat in WWE. That was awesome. Kurt Angle, he stole a show. He should have.
Yeah,
That's what I
absolutely.
like. Yeah.
Greg, what do you think? Anything?
Well, you know, being a fellow Clarion University alumni like Kurt Angle is, and I am as well, of course I enjoyed Angle's. His was fantastic. Him doing all the moments of his career, from the cowboy hat to singing Sexy Kurt, which was great. And, of course, him doing the stuff.
Hold on a second.
What's up?
We all got to sing it. I'm just a sexy Kurt.
Sexy
Kurt! I'll make your ankle hurt.
Ankle hurt.
Okay, that's enough. We're going to lose all of our viewers if we keep singing.
Yeah,
anyways, go ahead, continue, Greg.
My dog's going nuts now.
But Kurt Angle's was fantastic. JBL and Ron Simmons. I mean, I was there when Ron Simmons got inducted. My wife was as well. Ron Simmons got inducted into the Hall of Fame. And those two, when they were talking, they mentioned that Teddy Long story about being pulled over in Kentucky because he was black. They mentioned that 5 years ago, and it was fantastic then. It's fantastic now. But those two just talking are going to be hilarious. And I can't wait for when JBL gets inducted, because I'm sure that's coming someday. Beth Phoenix was fantastic. Yeah. I heard Trump tweeted him.
Yeah, he did.
Tweeted something.
Yeah.
Somebody's trying to grind my gears.
Sorry, David. We don't want to do that. No political talk on here. But what we want to talk about is Beth Phoenix, which obviously fantastic. The moment with Tony Chimmel, obviously great, and Bischoff and DDP was great as well. I mean, I have no complaints about the Hall of Fame.
Mr. Payne?
Yeah, I mean, it was great, and I like listening to YouTube and podcasts just to hear stories about wrestling. So to hear Cornette, to hear DDP talk and do all those plugs, it brought back memories, of watching it. It was really great. I thought that it was well. The segments where they were placed were well done. It went a little over, which is why we didn't do a video yesterday about it. It was probably about midnight your time at that point. Gee, I was already ready for bed, but it was just fantastic. And yeah, the Owen Hart thing really, it got to me too, because he's a guy that's obviously the fans want more than anything. So Martha Hart, if you're listening, please come on.
She knows.
But she knows. But she should do it for the fans' sake. The fans love Owen. I thought he was one of the most underrated wrestlers of all time. So I had the pleasure of meeting him actually in '99, which was quite an honor. So yeah, that got to me. And the Beth Phoenix, the whole thing was great. Tony Chimmel, I actually helped set up a ring with Tony Chimmel on a house show when I was like 17. So that was cool to see him still with the WWE after 25 years. But yeah, it was well done. And Kurt Angle, I've made the reference. I tweeted, I said he's the Beatles of wrestling. And what I mean by that is in the short span that he was there, he made such an impact. And he was already the best within 2 years. I mean, he covered it himself. He was already the best wrestler within 2 years. And I definitely anticipate that he'll get a match sometime. What do you guys think?
Yeah, well, he's hinted at it that it's going to happen. I think it will.
It's got to go through the protocol and stuff, but it's imminent. I think it will happen.
Yeah, if Goldberg can do it.
I was going to say, they did some Facebook video, which is such a tease, with Renee Young sitting down with Kurt Angle and Daniel Bryan talking about a match against each other. It's like, that's not even cool, man. Why would you do that to us? Don't tease that if it's not going to happen.
Yeah, don't do that to us.
All right, so we got WrestleMania tomorrow. And like I mentioned earlier, the Hardys lost the Ring of Honor Tag Team titles to the Young Bucks in a ladder match in Florida, near Orlando. So this, of course, will fuel the speculation about the Hardys showing up at WrestleMania. So, David S., we already gave our predictions. Any thoughts regarding tomorrow's WrestleMania that you wanted to share with the panel here?
I'm excited for a bunch of matches. I'm worried about Shane. What stunt? I mean, there's a ring above the ring, so I just can't even imagine what stunt he's going to pull. I'm excited for Jericho and Owens because of the story. But most importantly, what match is going to go on last? Is it going to be Lesnar Goldberg, or is it going to be Reigns Undertaker? And right now, tomorrow night is the time to turn Reigns heel. They probably won't, but God, if there's ever a time, it's now.
Are you aware?
Turn heels and Rip dyes his hair pink.
Yeah, I was going to ask, are you aware of the stipulation for WrestleMania?
Yes.
My stipulation,
yes.
Yeah. So I will dye my hair pink now. Apparently, that match is going on last, and you would think WWE would damn well know how the crowd's going to react if Roman beats Undertaker. So that's going to be really
especially
interesting.
to send him home like that.
Are they going to end the show with babyface Roman Reigns beating the Undertaker and sending Undertaker packing? I find that hard to believe. That would be very ballsy of Vince.
They can't send the fans home unhappy 2 years in a row. I'm sorry, you can't do that. Don't do Ms. Cena.
Vince
Don't do
has
it.
balls the size of grapefruits, so that would really take a lot of guts to do something like that. And it was funny because they were showing clips of Reigns at the Hall of Fame, and the fans just booed him out of the building. And I think they had Reigns leave after a while. Goldberg too, because Goldberg was getting booed. They had both guys leave at some point during the show because they kept
it's such a smart
booed.
crowd that's there. I mean, they were pretty well behaved for the most part. I just don't like. I mean, sometimes they get a little out of hand, and that's why that they're so long sometimes, the speeches, with all these chants. But I would love to go to a Hall of Fame ceremony. It was here in Detroit at the Fox Theater in 2006, I think. Kurt Hennig was inducted, but I wasn't able to go to that. But I would love to go to one someday.
Yeah. Well, that was a hardcore crowd, but you have to keep in mind, I got a report earlier at Access that Roman Reigns' line actually spilled into the area where Samoa Joe was signing. So there were a lot of people wanting to get, the autographs and pictures with Roman Reigns. So despite what people say about him, he draws a crowd. It is what it is. I don't know what's going to happen. I have no idea if they're actually going to pull the trigger. I will believe it when I see it, though. I'm expecting Roman to beat The Undertaker clean now. The other thing is Jim Ross is going to be apparently doing commentary for one of the matches, and it looks like it's going to be Goldberg versus Brock Lesnar, which one would think it's going to be longer than 2 minutes. I mean,
Goldberg!
Lesnar.
Yeah, so
F5.
I would think they're going to be doing a longer match. What do you think, Greg, about JR doing commentary again?
See, I'm glad they're bringing him in because I'm sure he needs to have his spirits uplifted because the passing of his wife, which is a tragedy. What happened, it really is. So I'm glad he's strong enough to even be in the area, which he's mentioned on his Twitter that he would be. So, and from the reports I've read, they're thinking about bringing him back for more than just WrestleMania.
Well, apparently he signed a deal. Apparently he signed a deal like similar to a Legends deal where he'll be doing network specials and occasional TV appearances and that sort of thing. So it looks like he's
I still think he works for CBS Sports as well. He's got a sports deal with them where he calls boxing and stuff.
Yeah, so I think he'll still be able to do other things too besides the WWE gig. Yeah. So, I mean, I'm glad he's back, and it'll be interesting to see how things play out with him on commentary for Goldberg and Lesnar. But one would think they're going to do a longer match if that's the match that he's doing commentary for. David S., any final thoughts on WrestleMania weekend before we sign off here?
I hope Lesnar wins. I hope JR has at least more than 2 minutes on commentary.
Agreed.
And I hope Roman Reigns turns heel.
That's I do too. I really hope Roman Reigns turns heel because that would boost traffic, and I would like something like when CM Punk did the pipe bomb where the site actually crashed because of the traffic. Roman Reigns turning heel would do that. That would just blow up the internet if that happened. I'm really crossing my fingers. Not getting my hopes up though, but we'll see. So that'll wrap it up for this video. Thank you guys for being on. David S., you did a great job for your first time.
Sir.
Nice plug with the NoDQ.com belt from Bad Billy J. I'm not sure his exact Facebook address, but maybe I'll put it in the description box of this video. You guys can check out his belts. You can get belts for your action figures. You can have custom belts made. Cool site. Cool stuff he does there. Yep, cheap plug for that.
I want to get the one Paige has.
Oh, God. There we go again, David with
All
another
right,
page line.
that's enough. The horse is dead. It's over.
Yeah,
I killed it.
you were beating
Yeah.
this thing dead.
Beat that to death.
You're leaving me like almost at a loss for words. But anyways, so David Payne is on Twitter at SmartMark420. Greg, you are at PA Sensation, and David S. Give us your Twitter account.
At EGW_FOW_virtue.
I should know because you tweet me the links to the columns all the time, and I retweet them. But I'm very forgetful when it comes to these Twitter handles. I almost forgot David Payne's, even though that's like the easiest one to remember. SmartMark420. But yeah, so again, thank you guys for being on. And David S., it was great to have you on to substitute for Jeff Meacham. And, I think people are going to really like you. You might end up being more popular than Jeff. And Jeff's spot may be on the line here. We'll see. He might be.
Well, I got to adapt, based on the feedback. But, hey, that's what this first one's all about.
Yeah.
Right?
Well, yeah. I mean, you might have a permanent gig here if people like you over Jeff. We'll see how it goes. But anyways, thank you guys for being on. Thank you to everyone out there for watching. We will see you tomorrow night for WrestleMania coverage. Stay tuned to NoDQ.com for the very latest. See you guys next time.